Hi, everybody, and welcome to your Thrive series brought to you by Nikki McClush-Woodley at Evergreen Coaching, where we are focusing on different ways that you can ensure your business not only survives through these unique times, but also absolutely thrives. And I'm so excited to have Jeni Clift here with me today. And we are going to go through some really great perspectives and different areas of business that you can be focusing on to really align with thriving. Jeni, thank you so much for joining me today, for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's very exciting.
I know we've been talking about this for a while. Now,
Yes.
just to do a bit of an intro, Jeni has years, I would just say decades of experience in business. She is a professional EOS implementer, and she's also a transformational coach that specializes in business, in leadership, and of course, personal development. And we really align with our values in the way of viewing business, viewing development, coaching, learning, growth as being not only the external strategies that you can implement to grow and to change your business, but also working on the internal also. So Jeni is also one of the only a handful of female leaders in the IT industry where she has a lot of experience, but she also has a lot of experience with other big players, big names, as I said, decades of experience. And one of the things to kind of get us started, I'm going to hand over to Jeni to share a little bit about what she does currently in these days with EOS. But there was something that jumped out about her profile, which was that the quote by Albert Einstein: "We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them." And I think that is just in such an essence of the work that you do. So Jeni, I've talked enough. Share with us, please, a little bit more about what it is that you're doing these days.
Okay, thanks. So I will stick with decades because it's a few too many to really think about of experience. So I have been working in a family business alongside my husband for 24 years. And as you said, Nikki, sort of a handful of leaders, female leaders in my industry, which is IT. But in saying that, I have no IT skills. Nobody would employ me for those skills. And really my role for that time has been running the business, but also people and culture, which has always been my passion. We're a service-based business, so getting the best out of our people, making sure that we've got the best people in that IT business. One of our values is people first. So just making sure that our team remember that, if an issue is there, it's a person who can't do their job. So don't get lost in the technical. Make sure you're maintaining that relationship and make sure that the person knows that we care and we're working on it. One of the struggles, I guess, that we had through that time was really, we're entrepreneurs and we fly by the seat of our pants, and and it's what we love, and it really, that's what the reason that Nick left the corporate world was getting lost in the structure and the timesheets and all that sort of stuff, and he hated it. So we ended up starting our business in September 96, and he never wanted to go back to that. But you can't scale a business that doesn't have structure and processes and, the way that you do things. You want that to be the experience across the business. So we'd been looking for years for something that worked for us that we could bring into that IT business to, I guess, set us free. We'd been doing the same thing for so long, and that's the other thing with entrepreneurs. We're not good at sticking at things for a long time. We lose focus, and as I often say to Nick, he has the attention span of a gnat. And I'm probably not much better. So we came across EOS, I don't know how many times, and in the end it kind of beat us over the head with a bit of a rock. We said, okay, well, we probably need to have a look at this. And it has changed the way that we run our business. It's allowed us to put a general manager in place, to step back and let him run the business. We're still in it, but it's just allowed us to bring somebody else in to manage it, and us know that he's doing an awesome job. A couple of the values, I guess, of EOS that I really, really love alongside that, the Einstein's quote, is help first, which again really sort of resonates with me. Humbly confident, grow or die, do the right thing and do what you say. And for me, I guess, just in our own, in DWM's values, they sort of just align with me. So we implemented EOS. It transformed the business. It set us free. And then I became a professional EOS implementer, so that I now have the privilege of working with other business owners so that they can do the same thing, or that they can reach their goals. It may not be, we want it to be set free, to go and pursue other things, but that's not everybody's goals. Maybe something different. But it just brings that, vision. Where's the business going? And making sure that everybody in the business shares that vision. Traction, so making sure that every part of the business you look in, people are working towards that same vision, and healthy. And that's a big part of it, making sure that your leadership team has a really healthy, transparent, cooperative relationship. We pretty much say what needs to be said in our business. And for people new coming into a staff meeting or sitting, Nikki, you've been coaching our sales team we're into year 4 now, and you've seen that firsthand. It can be quite confronting. Every so often we'll see somebody that kind of, heading under the desk going, oh my God, I can't believe that he or she just said that to somebody else, and how's this going to end? And as long as it's not a personal attack, if it's something that needs to be said, and it's best for the business, and we just work through it, and it's really working for us. And it's a great place to be. Our business is a really great place to be.
Yeah, definitely. I can vouch for that. And I know what you mean, because those very frank, put it all on the table conversations, I don't think I've come across a business that does that as well as your team. And I think the key thing though there is that it's a safe space to do that. And like you said, it's not poking at people or being nasty, but you've got the systems and the structures and the culture to allow that to happen. So there's a couple of really key things I think that you mentioned there, and even reflecting on the values, you talked about the vision. And in one of the most recent video that we did for the Thrive series was around, if you have a really strong, good vision, culture, purpose in place, then the last 3-4 months and ongoing, it will help you move through those times. If you don't, that's a really big gap, and you need to plug that gap as soon as you can. So it just again shows that it's testament to how that creates the culture that you want. And vision, culture, values, eat strategy for breakfast. This is the whole, which is very much what it's about. And that's why you get the results that you do. The other thing is that, what we're really talking about here is the core foundation is the systems and the structure and the processes that give that. And it's so true. Systems and structure are not sexy. I mean, there are some people who get out of bed in the morning and go, yeah, systems. Of course. And if you're watching this and that's one of you, rock on. We need you in the world. Yay. But there's
not too many entrepreneurs that do that, though.
No. But we do have to learn. We have to learn to go, hold up, how can this help us move forward, grow? And I love what you say around, for you, it was around finding that freedom. And that could be for other people who are watching or listening, the same thing, but it could look different, and that's okay. The fundamentals of business success, however, non-negotiable, they have to have effective systems and processes in place. And that's whether you're looking at, you can break that down from a sales point of view, a sales and business growth, a leadership, a service delivery. Every area of your business, there needs to be some accountability, transparency, systems and processes. So Jeni, what has been, do you think, in the last 3-4 months, which feels like it has been, there's some really funny memes going around about 2020 now, but anyway, side note, let's not get distracted. 3-4 months, we won't use the C word, but the last 3 to 4 months, what have been the biggest business lesson? What is the biggest business lesson or lessons that you've learned?
I think for us, it's probably been resilience. I was talking to somebody recently. This is probably my second period of isolation in my life. The first one, there was 6 of us on a boat crossing the Pacific Ocean for 26 days. So there was the 6 of us on a boat, completely isolated from the rest of the world. But this one's kind of the opposite. There's three of us in our house, isolated from the rest of the world, who are also isolated. And I've got a son living in London, and I actually saw him a few days, the first very early March. I'd been in the US and Europe and came home via London to visit him. Fortunately, because I would have been a lot more probably concerned had I not seen him. He's so young; he's only 23. But I think, for him, for us, for our business, for our clients, it's just that resilience. I've seen businesses who we're members of Entrepreneurs Organisation, EO, which is much easier to say. And there's businesses in EO that have, in the entertainment industry that, in a matter of 24, 48 hours, their entire pipeline disappeared. They had no bookings. They were able to completely, and we say the P word, pivot their business in a matter of days and, keep going. And others have just closed their doors. And again, another EO member who's picked up some major competitor clients. And because, sorry, I'll just turn my phone off there. Their competitors just closed the doors, not answering their phones. So they've picked up some major accounts. So that resilience to say, what can we keep? What can we do? Focus on what we can do, not what we can't do, and how can we get through this, and how can we support the people around us to get through this?
Yep, I love that. I think that's really important. And it's so true that there's, everybody's been hit in different ways. So some for sure greater than others, and there's opportunities for others. But it is the resilience as a collective, as a team, as a business, individually. And one of the things that you also focus on in the team that we do is the fortnightly Thrive meetings or check-ins. So that's a reminder, even when things maybe are starting to come to a new normal or it's changing again, to go, hold up. Are we checking in to go, what else? What are the new opportunities? What are the different things that are happening? Another way that I've been talking about that is pivot points. Are there any new pivot points this week, this fortnight, this month? Don't forget to keep asking those questions. And you're right, resilience is a huge, huge piece of the puzzle. And resilience doesn't mean always having to be strong. I know you're very aligned with this. Vulnerability is also resilience and strength. So I'm going to just leave that one there for everybody as a reminder also.
Absolutely.
And this probably ties into the next question I want to ask you. What do you think is the most important thing that businesses need to be focusing on right now? We've had a wave of chaos, then a kind of a new normal isolation, and now there's a wave of a bit of uncertainty and who knows, and up and down. Will it be, won't it be, half? So what is the most important thing that business owners need to be focusing on right now?
What we're focusing on, both from DWM, our IT business, and as an EOS implementer, if I can speak, is help first. We've been in a very fortunate industry over the last few months that, we've certainly been impacted. All of the measures the government has put in place has tremendously helped us. I don't know, we certainly wouldn't be in the position we're in now without that. So we're highly appreciative of all of the support that's come through. But how can we help our clients or potential clients through that? So we've come up with some, discounted offers for clients, for businesses that have been impacted. A 50% discount for the first 3 months. So not deferring, but just a straight discount. So really making sure that we can help people who have been impacted, get them through this so that we all come through together. I know as EOS implementers, and I know some others are doing it as well, that our terms are net never. So we'll still run the session that you're booked for, and we'll send you an invoice, but there is no due date. If you can pay that at some point in the future, fantastic. If you can't, then, it is help first. It's how can we help you to get through this so that at the end of it, the economy, businesses, people are in the best place that they can be.
That's wonderful. I love that approach of help first. And we've got to look at how do we help each other? How do we get through this? And I think what's also really important to remember is that that doesn't mean that you're going out and giving, what I want to kind of offset that with is it doesn't mean you have to go out and give free services everywhere. You still have a business that you're running, but if what you have is of value to people and it can help people, look at ways that you can perhaps make it so that it's achievable for people, it's helping them, but then also the value is there, so you can still charge for your services. So that's really interesting what you say around the EOS, because you actually go into businesses to look at their existing systems and structure, which we know is so important, albeit not always sexy, but it can be once you learn to love it. Set up those systems and structures and processes, and then offer ongoing accountability, support, development around that. Yep. So what you're saying essentially is that, because I know part of that service is that you get paid at the end when the client is happy with those services, so there's no due date on that invoice at the moment.
Yeah, so the way that EOS works is we go in initially and we do what we call our focus day, which is really looking at things. Traditional name would be an organisation chart. We call it accountability chart. So what is the right structure for the business, and how's that set up? How does that that leadership team interact? We look at, and it's really the foundational things we teach. I teach some leadership skills, and some of our foundation tools. Like, we have a really great, and I think it's across our IT business, it's probably the favourite thing, and you've sat in on a few of these as well, what we call our level 10 meetings. So it's an agenda. It's just a really great way of running a meeting that starts on time, finishes on time, everybody's there and present, and you get stuff done rather than just a talk fest. So I teach some of the foundational tools, and I charge a day rate, and we set some rocks or some goals for the next 30, 60, 90 days. Then about 30 days later, we get together again and we do our vision building days. So that's when we start looking at the sort of what's the 10-year target, what's that big, hairy, audacious goal for the business. We look at your values and your core target and marketing strategy, and just there's a 2-page business plan that we basically put together. And then we go into what we call our quarterly pulse. So from that vision building days 1 and 2, 90 days later, we get together, review, draw a line in the sand and say that was the quarter that was. Now let's look forward. What are we going to do for the next quarter? And are we still in line with that longer 1 year, 3 year, 10-year targets? And then we just go into that quarterly pulse. So I charge a day's fee for my time for that day. So and my guarantee for that is, if you don't feel like you've got value, you don't pay me. So it's not a contract. It's not you're not signing up for a 2-year software tool that you'll never use or anything else. It's literally just me teaching you the foundations of the EOS tools, and then let you go and run your business and use those tools to run it really effectively. So it is that so that those terms of pay me when you can, if I can give your business a day or two of my time, and maybe one day, a month, 3 months, 6 months later, you can pay me, that's great. But if I can do that for now and help you get your business through this, life's good.
It's also a win-win, isn't it? Because that's what we want. We want to have businesses where the cash flow is looking healthy, where there's opportunities, where there's growth. And yes, there are some limitations, of course, on that now, but there's also, we can't stress enough, those opportunities. So it is that win-win, because if that is the systems and structure and that will help a business get going, or could be the gap that's missing, and then they start, getting a healthier pipeline cash flow, win for you, win for the business, win all around. And that's a huge part of really what our ethos is in business, is that it has to be a win-win. We are here, this is a business. We are here to create those win-win opportunities. So I love that. And how relevant, we're talking about things like, again, it comes back to the systems and that ongoing accountability. I don't know about you, but I definitely hear one of the hardest things, the challenges that businesses have to overcome, is the accountability piece. Or it's great in theory and it's really good. Love that conversation, had a great day off-site, woohoo! And then you get back into the crazy busy, or the busy trap, or the whirlwind of the day-to-day. How relevant and important is having that approach with the regular quarterly pulse meetings, the vision day, all of that, focus planning, in this environment? Is it just as important? Is it more important? Like, how relevant is it now?
I think for us, certainly the IT business, so we run under EOS and we have an implementer who works with us. So Anthony was due in the week I got back from my trip overseas. And that was already scheduled, our quarterly meeting. And the timing was perfect because it was, I got home on the Tuesday morning and the following weekend was when the 14-day mandatory isolation came in. And I think he was here in Melbourne the following Monday. And so we did, I hadn't heard this term before, BMW. What's the best case? What's the most likely? And what's the worst case?
Oh, I like that.
We did that for the quarter. We did the BMW. And so for us, best case was, a 30% hit to the business. And what would that look like? Well, what's the worst case? And then what's the most likely? So we put a plan in which looked completely different to our 1-year plan that, we'd done sort of the quarter before. But that plan has pretty much played out. So one big thing that we've really made sure that we've done with our team is communication. So we tried to do every week. We probably haven't quite made it, but we tried to every week update our team and say, we're on track. This is the plan we put in place. We knew this was going to happen because if you don't tell people, even though everything's okay, if you don't tell them, they start to make things up themselves. So we're just making sure that we tell them, yes, we're on track. It's all okay. We're good. Had we not had something like EOS in place and not had that planning, I'm sure it would have been a very, very different outlook for us. Certainly a lot more anxiety for Nick and I as owners of the business, probably not communicating as well with our team. There would have been a whole lot of gaps in our business that by being this far into the journey with EOS and having all of that, those tools that we now just use every day I'm sure has had probably given us a lot more sleep than, I'm sure there would have been a lot more sleepless nights without it.
Yeah, really key. I love BMW. Just writing that one down here. So good.
I love a good 3-letter acronym.
Yeah, same. And so, okay, great. So really the key things that people who are watching or listening, like key things that I'm really taking out here is have a look at what systems you have in place at the moment. How are they serving you? What's working? If it's working, rock on. How do you keep building on that? And what are the potential gaps? And don't be afraid to find out, what else you can be doing. And I think that's one of the reasons that I wanted Jeni to really come I was going to say on this show, have a chat with me today. Maybe it's not a show, we could make it one. But to have this chat today is because really, it's that proof of what that system and structure can do. And, I always talk about this stuff, but it's not the key things that people do want to focus on a lot of the time, or they get stuck in procrastination around planning. So it's too much of the planning, but there's not enough of the doing. So I think that's really key. The help first, really have a look at what your systems and structure in place. Check out your BMW. Yes. Best case, most likely case, worst case. Communicate with your team. Have those systems to be able to communicate. Jeni, what are the most common questions that you're getting asked at the moment from your clients or from the market?
I think what's next, and who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. So that's one is, how do we plan for the next quarter when we just don't know what's going to happen? When all of the government assistance sort of ends and they're talking September, then what? And, again, you've just got to use that, best case, most likely, and worst case, and say, well, looking at this current quarter, let's use that to go forward. And the other thing, from the IT perspective, I think a fundamental change will be the way that people work, and how can we set up our team to that hybrid, working remotely, sometimes in the office, sometimes. And we were quite fortunate in that space that our team, all bar one of our team, were able to work remotely, and they do regularly. But it's been such a big change for others. So, and I think probably a needed change in that most people work quite well remotely, and a lot of people work better remotely, particularly for those focus days. So how can we make that happen securely and, look after our staff? And I think the other, sorry, let me drink of water. The other thing is sort of that mental health piece of, making sure that we don't forget what changes have happened over the last few months, and how can we keep going and making sure that we're looking after our staff, and not kind of get back into busy space and leave people behind.
Yeah. Some really key, well-rounded, I think, aspects that are definitely on people's minds. That's for sure what I'm hearing in the conversations that I'm having at the moment. Also, do you have any final so many wise words have been said. However, do you have any final wise words of wisdom to close us out?
Probably the thing that was said to me a couple of months ago when I was kind of struggling with, what was going on, was focus on what you can control. And I think going forward, for the next 3 months, that's not going to change. It is focus on what you can control, not on what you can't control. So, where are you getting your information from? Making sure that it's, real sources, not, the media making mountains out of molehills. And, really sort of, I guess we've sort of bunkered down and said, what information do we need to get through this? And let's just stick with that and not get caught up in drama and other people's stories, and, focus on what you can control.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important. And I also think that with a lot of the conversations that you and I have both had with clients, with people over the years, around personal development tools or high performance strategies or resilience strategies and mindset, this has really been an opportunity to put those tools, those frameworks to work. They've always been there, like, focus on what you can control, but now more than ever, it's the time to bring dust off those tools if you haven't used them for a while and put them into practice. And it comes back to that resilience piece, which we talked about at the beginning, because it's definitely the leaders, the business owners, the entrepreneurs, the founders, the teams, the people that are doing that will be able to sustain and maintain for the longer term. So thank you so much, Jeni, for joining.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I know that there's a lot of value that's been added. Again, really, please have a look at the systems, the structures that are in place in your business. I'm going to pop some details, some information up for how to get in contact with you, Jeni, if you'd like to, put it out there.
Absolutely. And EOS is detailed in the book Traction by Gino Wickman.
Yes.
There's a library of books. So if anybody would like a copy of the book Traction, if Nikki puts up my details to my website, you can hop on there and put your details in and I'll get you a book, or just reach out to me through social media and I'll get a copy to you.
I love that. That's a free book that you're giving away.
Absolutely.
Possibly multiple. Excellent. It is such a good book and it really outlines just such great systems again. Really worthwhile looking into, tried and tested, particularly if this is a gap in your business. But even if you have something in place already and it's just not doing what it needs to be doing. So thank you everybody out there for joining us today. Can't wait to connect with you all again soon, and stay safe out there. Thanks, Jeni.
Thanks. Bye.